Hi, welcome to Exploring Christianity, a Journey of Faith. In today's session, we'll explore how to find a Bible verse. If someone quotes 2 Timothy 3:16 through 17, how do you find that in the Bible? Like most books, the Bible has page numbers. The funny thing I figured out pretty quickly about these page numbers is that no one uses them when talking to each other about the Bible. When someone is talking about the Bible, they never say, turn to page whatever. Instead, they say things like, turn to 2 Timothy 3:16 through 17. One reason for that is that, unlike most books, the Bible does not have just one version. Generally, if you and I are going old school and reading a physical copy of the Goblet of Fire, we'll have different physical copies of the same book with the same cover and the same pages. If you and I are arguing about how Harry could breathe underwater in the second challenge, I can say, turn to page 491. Right there, it says gillyweed. And you can look in your copy and find the same thing. Yes, there'll be differences between hardback copies and paperback copies and that kind of thing, but there are only a couple variations. The Bible is not like that. There are multiple different versions called translations, and then multiple different printings, regular, big print, paperback, leather-bound, etc., of each translation. So page numbers don't really help much when talking to other people about text in the Bible. If you're wondering why there are different translations of the Bible, we'll explore that in a different video. So, how do you find a verse in the Bible? Instead of listing the chapters in the table of contents, the chapters are numbered within the text itself. And these chapters are further broken into verses. So if someone is talking about 2 Timothy 3:16 through 17, it is found in the book named 2 Timothy, which you can find in the table of contents of a Bible, in chapter 3 and in the 16th and 17th verses of chapter 3. And it will look like this when it's written down. Sometimes you'll see letters after the reference when the actual verse is given. This tells you which translation the verse text came from. Typically, there won't be space between the book, chapter, verses, and translation. I just wrote them that way so the labels would fit in. In case you were wondering about the 2 in front, this is because there are 2 different books named Timothy. In this case, they're actually letters written to a disciple named Timothy, and he got 2 letters. They are distinguished by putting a number 1 in front of one book name, pronounced 1 Timothy, and a number 2 in front of the other one, pronounced 2 Timothy. There are other Bible books that work this way too. In my copy of the Bible, the table of contents tells me that 2 Timothy starts on page 683. You see that the text has both large numbers and small numbers. The large numbers are the chapter numbers, and the little numbers are the verse numbers. To find chapter 3, verses 16 through 17, I turn until I find the big number 3, and then within that chapter, I find the small number 16. And there I find that 2 Timothy 3:16 through 17 tells me that all Scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. The books of the Bible have as few as 1 chapter to as many as 150 chapters. Typically, a chapter is anywhere from less than a page to a few pages in length, and a verse is typically no more than a few lines. Lesser known fact, the chapter and verse numbers were not in the Bible originally. The chapter and verse numbers were added to make it easier to find particular Bible verses, and some of the ones used today were added about 1,000 years after the last part of the Bible was written. I think that this is important to realize because sometimes the chapters seem to split in the middle of a thought, and it's always a good idea to read what came before a verse you were reading, even if it means going to the previous chapter. So that's how you find verses in the Bible. Can you think of a situation where you might want to find a Bible verse quickly?